Greetings to all the jiu-jitsu nerds out there. We have had quite a day, quite a week, quite a month, and maybe just the entire year of jiu-jitsu, but it feels like now things are really starting to pick up, and we knew that this was going to happen. June is always a very special month, International Fight Week. It's just big in combat sports in general, but joining us, we have the PGF commish. Sorry, I have a really bad echo here. Brandon McCatherine in the building. We're going to be talking all things PGF Draft Day coming up. Can you believe it's less than a week from now, B-Mac?
Hard to believe. It's all happening all at once. Nothing happens, and then suddenly everything all at once. So here we go.
That's the way to do it. We have our number one guy in the building, Harps, done with open mat just in time. Before we get into some of the drama of the jiu-jitsu world, I want to get your take, B-Mac. I don't know if you can see your computer screen, but on this situation right here. Did you see this?
I saw this. What is going on?
We need to get her some self-defense. This is getting insane.
Well, you know what? She made a huge look at this check when she comes in and checks her right here. This is crazy work.
Look,
that's
okay.
Fine.
So the girl that hit her first, then bumps into her, and Caitlin pushes away, and then team comes to back up.
There, what is that?
That's the fucked up one. Yeah, that's insane. That is like. Literally, the worst kind of hits are the ones that you don't see coming too. So I don't know when this game was. I've been living under a rock, just, watching all the jiu-jitsu stuff going down. But this is a crazy moment. And I didn't even realize she was still competing or, playing in the WNBA because of all this. Like, I thought it had gotten so bad that she ended up doing that 3v3 league. And
that's what she should do. That's what she should do. They offered her like $5 million, and instead she's taking like a $1,200 a year salary because she believes in the WNBA or something. Stop. Nobody believes in the WNBA, Caitlin, except you. Nobody believes in it.
And Craig Jones. Craig loves WNBA.
No, he does not. Nobody loves the WNBA. He might say that, but he has literally never watched one game.
This is some insane action, and that is the type of aggression that we might be seeing from the jiu-jitsu community with all of the different opinions we have going on. I think the greatest thing about what's going on in the jiu-jitsu world right now is there's a lot of banter and there's a lot of room for joking. And when you have that, you also have maybe people who aren't as used to joking, maybe aren't as used to being criticized all the time. And so it seems like some people in the jiu-jitsu community are having fun with this. Some people are getting their feelings hurt. What is your overall consensus over just more talking within the community and more people having their opinions because there's more to talk about?
I mean, look, it's good for business. The bigger the UFC gets, the bigger everybody gets. The more UFC goes into jiu-jitsu, the better it is for everybody else. The harder Craig goes versus the UFC with the whole heel baby face situation. Perfect. Craig is the kind of dude, he needs a good enemy. He understands good storytelling, and he's willing to take the PR hits in order to chase the narrative. I'm not. I don't like that. I want to be friends. But Craig don't want to be friends. And listen, let him push the sport to the top in his own way. I'll do it my way. And we'll all meet up at the end.
I saw a comment on, I think it was my recent, I think it was the UFC BJJ recent episode. Someone goes, okay, this is cool. Can we just invest all the power slap money into this instead? So there's funds definitely that the UFC has. I am not fully caught up to all of the episodes. I was about halfway through episode 2, but it seems like a lot of people are enjoying what they are putting out. And then we are going to see the finale on June 25th, right after the PGF Draft. So you're going to have a really busy day and you're going to be there in Vegas. When are you coming to Vegas?
Well, I fly into Oklahoma this weekend for a seminar, and then I'm flying straight from Oklahoma to Vegas.
Okay, perfect. So that will be when draft day happens, June 25th. I saw I think Andy Varela making a live chat, kind of talking about all the things going on in the jiu-jitsu world right now. And he is going to be one of the coaches for that PGF season 8 season. We also have Hinato Canuto, who's going to be in the building. So what are you anticipating from these guys? Just knowing that it's a lot more responsibility this time, considering they're going to have 15,000 real dollars to give out to these guys and really make the right decisions when it comes to the team.
I expect competition of the highest caliber between the coaches. They're all very, very committed to winning. I think maybe people don't know Mika. Everybody knows Andy, everybody knows Canuto, everybody knows Drysdale, but I think people, for some reason, they don't know Mika. Mika's like a 6-degree black belt under Pedro Sauer and Hickson Gracie, and he's been an assistant coach for the last 2 seasons at the PGF. And last season, he was on the team that blew everybody out of the water. And Mika is the one who formed the strategy that led to that W. So he got the head coach role this year. And I think I don't know, man. I feel like Mika might have the strategy. He's just so much more experienced, even more than Andy and Canuto, who Andy's a champion as an athlete. He didn't do the management side of it. He did do the coaching side of it. Canuto, he's experienced as an athlete, but he didn't do the coaching and managing side of it. And so I think it's going to be very interesting. Mika actually has all the experience in this.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting what kind of strategies people come into this with. And there's going to be just so much going on in that particular week. When it comes to the lull that we'll have between the draft and the actual season starting, what do you anticipate that these fighters and coaches are going to be doing in the time off that they have before the season starts?
Man, I don't know. I don't know how active they're going to be. Like, we'll see. I think that's going to make a huge difference, though. I think the coaches that take it super seriously and really invest into their guys are going to yield a lot of fruit from that. So we'll see. They're all Vegas locals for a reason. Like, that was intentional. We wanted to make sure that we got people that were going to be around during the week. It's not guys that's got to fly in. Half the athletes are moving to Las Vegas for a couple of months to actually be there for the whole season. And I think if the coaches will get out there and work with these guys, then they're gonna see some real dominant results.
Was there anything particularly interesting that you thought happened at the media day?
No, I thought it was great though. It felt kind of like a family reunion in a lot of ways, right? Like, it was cool, and I love bringing the guys over to the castle that haven't been around before. Like, they don't realize what they're walking into, And so I just think that's so much fun. It's like taking your kids to Disneyland.
Yeah, it's like, what even is life right now? We're shooting for this huge payout of a season in this mansion, and we're all you guys are all going to be competing against each other. But I know, BMAC, it's big for you that you want people that'll be good energy. So even though they are potentially going to be competing against each other, and then some people will be on the same team, it felt like really good energy, and it felt like a really cool squad of people that we got. And I think this is so fun for me as a reporter, because my favorite thing is being able to watch these guys' careers progress. I've met a lot of people when they were already kind of closer to the top, but then I've also met people that no one really knew the names of. And now they're these big figures in jiu-jitsu. And now you're getting a lot of them that were got the call from the UFC saying, hey, we want you on this show. And now they're on a very historical show that is going to be remembered in the jiu-jitsu world for the rest of time. So what is that like for you, just knowing that you are part of the catalyst for some of these guys to get some bigger and better opportunities that they might not have gotten without the PGF?
It feels good, but I'll be honest with you. I feel like we really have barely gotten started. In a lot of ways, I feel like this is season 1 of the PGF, there's been a couple of I don't want to say reboots, but it kind of reboots. It's the same timeline, but it's like a powered up version. It's like when Mario eats the mushroom and he grows. Like, so that's what happened in season 5. We go to, we eat the mushroom, and then we're the first Mario. And then season 6, we moved to Vegas, and we eat the fireball. We eat the flower. And now we can throw fireballs. And then with this one, dude, I feel like we just put on the little raccoon suit, and now we can fly through the whole level. Like, we're Super Mario now.
That was a whole lot of Mario Kart vernacular there. Thank you for all that depiction.
Yeah,
I love it.
For that.
I love this lineup that we have. We have Brady Branscome, Jet Thompson, Chris Olivo, Anthony Gojani was really coming in there trying to fulfill that Elijah Carlton role. How'd you find that guy?
Gojani, he came through the qualifiers. The first one that he came to was I can't remember. I think he came to the Decatur qualifier and did pretty well, and then he really showed out in Boston, and Massachusetts. I say Massachusetts. They always yell at me and say I don't say it right.
Massachusetts.
And
I know that roll.
I know that's not the way you're supposed to say it, but that's how I say it, you know. And I'm just not going to change it.
Oh my goodness.
He was great in Massachusetts. And when we decided we were just gonna wait until season 9 to go to the full season. You remember all this. We were scheduled, like, this was supposed to be PGF week, like this week right here coming up. And man, just things started happening behind the scenes, like good things. And we just went, you know what? Let's just pull the trigger on the plan right now. And so we decided to. And so, yeah, then that obviously there's going to be athletes that were on that roster that were like, well, I can't come to Vegas for 2 months straight, you know? And so I was like, well, I'm going to call old Go Johnny, add him in. And he was like, dude, I literally wrote it in my diary that at the beginning of the year, I was going to be on the PGF roster. They're going to do 155 pounds and I'm going to be on the roster. And then he didn't make the first cut of the roster when we're going to do the single week. And then when we changed, I called him and he was like, you're kidding me. So he was freaking out. So I think he's more excited to be on the roster than maybe anybody, maybe him or Christos.
Yeah, he's pulling a Ilya Topuria, putting in his Instagram bio that he's going to be, I think, ADCC trials winner. So he's like manifesting that before it really becomes reality. You did mention that there has been some really good news within the PGF business, and I'm going to play a little clip that we got from PGF co-owner during that media day.
This plan for PGF is to be able to sell teams to investors. Is there any news?
When we look at Jiu-Jitsu and how this can explode into general consciousness, and as I said, there are examples, NFL, NHL, there are teams, team owners, and the athletes are professional athletes. For us to make Jiu-Jitsu athletes professionals that they can look at as a career, we should follow the same format, right? So New Hope generation now own their team. This is their team. It's your team, and it has the right to compete in the PGF forever. And if you look at a Formula One team, right? Let's say Red Bull, right? Red Bull has a car. It's a brand. Everybody knows, obviously, but they have a car or 2 cars in Formula One. But this is great advertising for them. They own the team, and the athletes are their athletes. The same way how the Formula One team takes care of their athletes, then these teams will take care of their athletes. Like, for example, if you think about New Hope, their style regeneration, obviously their team members will benefit from that, right? So athletes need that, especially Jiu-Jitsu, especially martial arts. So there are already benefits to this. So that was the vision, and this is happening. This is exploding. We started with New Hope, and since that, many other companies expressing interest that.
So obviously amazing news. I've been such a big fan of New Hope Regeneration since I met Kevin, but I'm curious. I understand what Zoltan's saying when they're saying that, the greatest thing that you can have in, I guess the biggest flex that you can have is like owning your own team. Like you'll have Mark Cuban owning the Mavericks, and there's different, I guess, cool things that come with that. When it comes to the jiu-jitsu side of things and wanting to sell these franchises to companies, how does like that business model look? And if you're not allowed to share like so much or anything like that, like what does, you know, selling at a certain price point do for the PGF?
Well, so I can't tell you a ton about it, but I can tell you that we're not just necessarily looking for businesses, individuals as well. And honestly, we're not looking for anybody. Like people will come to us. We only have 4 teams to sell, you know what I'm saying? And I've already got people interested in all 3 of the other teams. So it's not like I'm like out there like trying to sell these things to people, you know what I mean? Like they're available. And right now, one of these first 4 teams, they're all going to be $1 million. Nobody's going for less than $1 million. So, yeah, that's it. The difference, the main difference is it's not a sponsorship. Like if you take a sponsorship with your company in a jiu-jitsu event, you're like, well, how do I get that ROI? Like, how do I justify spending whatever it's going to be, $10,000 or even $2,000 or $50,000, whatever your investment is? How are you getting that back? Unless you got a crazy product and a crazy call to action, you really shouldn't expect to get that money back. You should expect that you'll get great branding and a targeted community. And if that is a fit with your product, then it could be a great advertising opportunity, but it's an advertising opportunity. And you have nothing on the other side of it except for whatever sales you put together and some branding that was done. But when you own a team, that's not the way it works. It's you own the team. That's an asset that you own. You can write that against your taxes. You can sell your own sponsorships against the team to make revenue. You can sell your own gear against the team to make revenue. You can host your own events. There's a lot of, how can a sports team make money? There's all of those options in front of you. And then,
yeah, and it's definitely a cool way to make jiu-jitsu legitimize and more of a sport for sure.
And imagine 5 years from now, you're like, oh, I had my fun with the jiu-jitsu thing. I'm ready to move on to the next thing. And now we've got 8 teams, 16 teams, and your team that you paid $1 million for is worth $3.4 million. You turn around and flip that thing and you're walking pretty, you know?
And we did have Lazy Bed, who is more of an MMA guy. We are getting MMA people in here as BJJ casuals with all of the Gordon Ryan drama going on. Craig Jones, Ruffling Feathers, UFC BJJ versus CJI. We got some MMA fans in here being BJJ casuals. And he brings up the GFL. I remember when I did a little work with them, we were talking, BMAC, and you were like, yeah, they're oddly similar, like almost in like certain things that they were trying to take from the PGF, and just knowing how that one went sideways to the ground quick. Crazy. And it really, I guess, isn't that crazy. Like everyone was kind of predicting that was going to happen, but that just goes to show that like trying to lean on these investors that might say one thing, but not have actually given the money. That just goes to show that like a lot of these smoke and mirror type productions or all this buildup can end up being nothing. But with the PGF, they've done time and time again, multiple seasons, but season 6 is where we really elevated it, taking it to the next level. And now we're still trying to grow the sport as much as possible, letting the season be live and free on YouTube for that regular season. Is there any other news that we can expect when it comes to the playoffs? I know before we've had different times where the playoffs are not accessible on YouTube. Is there any plans for that specifically?
Yeah, there's some plans. That's about all I can give you right now.
We'll just have to wait and see. I know the draft is going to be coming up before you know it. And I'm super excited for that. I see in the comments, Harps, very excited for Rafael. I think he had one of the most precious interviews and personality when I spoke to him, because he's, I think, interested in going to law school as well. Like he wants to combine his jiu-jitsu nerdery with law school. So I'm excited to see what he does, because I feel like he has a very quirky style.
Yeah, man, he really showed out at the Vegas qualifier, and he won the Las Vegas qualifier, and he beat a lot of good people to get there. He beat Gojani in the Vegas qualifier. Gojani came to Vegas. He beat CJ Murdoch in the final. Man, it was a crazy event, but the big takeaway is that Rafael is a star, dude. That kid is a star. I think he's going to be one of the most exciting guys to watch.
I think so too. I think another guy that's going to be very exciting to watch is Brady Branscome. And we already have a rivalry going down with Brady Hilton in the building. And we know that the Atlanta boys are going to be in town. I recently interviewed Paul Ardilla again for CJI, and he mentioned that one of his boys, Brady, is going to be there. I forget what he called him. I think he called him the Cat Poppy. Are you going to be calling him Cat Poppy on the broadcast?
That's Brady Hilton, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to call him Cat Poppy. I'm not going to do that.
But that's his nickname. Like owning cats is half his personality, he says. So like you might have to call him Cat Poppy at least once.
Well, I'm probably just going to have to cut him from the roster entirely. I'm
definitely excited for that Brady versus Brady showdown. We also had Jack Snyder point out a time where he submitted Jordan Worth, and you know the competitor inside all of these guys. Anytime you lose, you want to get that win back. Are there any other storylines that you're particularly interested in with this roster?
Yeah, I mean, I love the Andy versus Canuto rivalry with the coaches. I think that's awesome. I love I love the narrative that the whole roster feels like it's 14-year-olds. You know what I mean? Like Rafael, he's 17, but JJ Bowers is 19. You know, that's
oh my gosh, with JJ Bowers, I think I said something along I can't remember what exactly I said, but I was like, his reaction was just like, oh no, you definitely couldn't be like 20 or something like that. I was like, everyone seems so young. I'm like, I feel weird interviewing you guys. Like, I feel like your grandma, because all of them were like under 20.
Dude, it's wild, isn't it? It's crazy how many of the young guys are on there. Landon Elmore, I think he's in that 19 range as well, 19 or 20. They're all young. Even the old guys are young. They're like 23 and 24. It's wild. Like the sport has changed so much, man. Just in the last couple of years, these kids that have been training since they were 3, well, they're 20 years old now. And that kid's been training twice as long as you have and way more seriously, you know? So it's not like it used to be where you could, like me, I didn't start jiu-jitsu till I was 26. Now that was 20 years ago, right? So I got 20 years under my belt. But back then you could, you know, if you were talented and really dedicated and hardworking, you could start as an adult and become a world champion, you know? But now, dude, if you don't start, it's like real sports now. If you don't start playing in elementary school, like good luck.
Out the womb.
Good
if you don't
luck,
start out
dude.
The womb with this next generation, basically you're screwed unless you're a solid athlete. I do like how you brought up
Even
the
then,
Andy. Yeah, even then you need the experience. But you brought up Andy Varela versus Hinato Canuto, a little rivalry there. I think they're more friends than rivals, but I know that they'll be competitive. But we also have to talk about how Raquel and Hinato used to train at Drysdale's originally before they kind of went off and did their own thing. So there's even like a little bit of background there. I know Chris Olivo trains with got his black belt under Robert Drysdale from white belt to black belt, and then he opened up his own gym, Potential Jiu-Jitsu, and he is doing great things. So there's a bunch of different backstories that is definitely gonna have time to develop within the storylines with this 12-week format versus when we were doing that Shark Tank all in 1 week, having to cover everything in like the smallest amount of time.
Yeah, you know, the 1 week season was really great in a lot of ways. Like there's some cool things about it. Like from a business standpoint, it was great for us because we could scale use it by compressing the whole season into 1 week. We could run multiple seasons back to back to back and really like learn and make our mistakes and grow and better ourselves from compressing it down like that. But it's not as good for the fans. It's not as good for the athletes. It's not as good for the staff. Dude, there's so much to do. Like I need a week to get the first day's worth of work done, much less smash that whole thing down into 1 day. That's crazy. But we did it a bunch of times. So, but you know, it's nuts. Like every time we would run a week, we would get 6 shows out of that. And so we would get 6x experience over the other promotions every time we would do one event, you know? And so we were able to scale our learning like that much, much faster than I think the other promotions have been able to do. And so I think that has put us, that's one of the things that's really put us in a good position to be really, honestly, the only promotion in the world that could do what we're doing right now. We have a track record of pulling off seasons. We already understand how all this works. And now, rather than smashing the whole thing down into 1 week, we're going to do the same work, but we're going to have 7 days to do 1 day worth of work. So I think it's going to give the fans a lot more opportunity to watch all of it, to engage with it, to see it on social. I think it's just better in every respect. And this was the original idea anyway. We just didn't think we were going to do it in season 8 initially. We were going to do it season 9, but cheers. Here we go. Let's run it.
Cheers,
honestly, like
to it.
Zoe, we were talking about it and we were kind of on the fence, and I was like, I don't think we can pull it off in season 8. And he just looked at me and he goes, what would be the crazy thing? Like, if we were insane, what would we do? I was like, oh, well, we'd go ahead and do it. And he's like, well, pull the trigger then. I'm here to party.
I remember when it was originally supposed to be the regular week, and then I heard the news that I was like, oh my gosh. And then I had to keep it a secret for so long. All these people are like bothering me for secrets. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't be. Mac told me not to tell anyone.
I know. And it was hard for me too, dude. I'm not a secret keeper. I'm terrible at secrets. I want to know the secrets and I want to tell all the secrets. So you can't trust me to keep my mouth shut, but I did. So I don't know how I pulled it off, but I mean, it took us a while to arrange it all. I mean, it was a huge shift. And so I know people were getting like antsy, like, oh, I thought you guys were going to do this. Like, man, you got to let me cook. Give me a little time. I think I've got a good track record now where when I say something, oh, I'm going to do this. Hey, you got to let me cook. I've proven to you that I will do what I said. I'm going to put $100,000 in. Nobody did that. Nobody was doing that. We did it. And it kicked off this whole thing. This whole thing kicked off because we threw down $100,000. That's what caused all of it. I remember the very last day of season 6, we did the playoff. We all crashed out. We woke up and we went to breakfast. We jumped in the boats and we went across the lake to hit that little breakfast spot. And we're sitting at breakfast. And that's when Craig announced, that was that day, the day after the PGF final, Craig announced that he was going to do CJI 1. And that's what started the ball rolling.
Really? I mean, like that it was that close that he announced it? Because I'm trying to think. I can't remember when I first originally got word that I was hired for it, but maybe I did know.
Maybe you knew before he announced it.
Maybe, yeah. Oh my God. It's crazy how much this has grown and just snowball affected. I saw that there were about 25 people in here. Hopefully we could get 25 likes on this. Right now we're covering the PGF draft. The commissioner of PGF is here, Brandon McCatherine. We also got CJI 2 news to talk about. And then the recent, random jiu-jitsu. Gordo makes a post for the first time, and it is just coming after our jiu-jitsu princess, Fiona Davis, who is dealing with a pretty rough injury right now. She is such a tough warrior. Ate quite the leg lock against Adele Fornerino and just had a very open moment wanting to say that she's been struggling mentally. Obviously, when you can't train, that makes things even worse. BMAC, I know that you've probably experienced that many of times. So is there anything before we move on to some different topics that you want the fans to know about for PGF season 8?
Well, the draft, June 25th. It's a week from today. Listen, you got to check this out. It's one of the coolest jiu-jitsu events in the whole industry. It's probably the coolest and most fun thing that we do in jiu-jitsu, and it doesn't even have any jiu-jitsu in it. And that's pretty cool.
I love it. It's everything you love about sports plus jiu-jitsu. And now we're taking that to a whole nother level by expanding into this 12 week layout, and then also the draft elevating it to the one day, and really going to get to see the personalities of everyone. I think this is so fun. Now we're going to move on and see some of the drama that I kind of ensued in recent days. BMAC, I know that you wanted to talk about PGF. If you're ready to hang out for jiu-jitsu stuff, let me know. If you have to go at any point, let me know too.
Yeah, I'll just tell you when I got a dip. I can't stay forever, but I can hang out for a second.
Woo! All right. So in recent news, we have had the new rivalry in jiu-jitsu. In 2024, we had ADCC versus CJI grow the sport to levels we have never seen before. Now we have to ask ourselves, what could happen if CJI took on the biggest and most successful combat sports promotion in the world? It is UFC. I've got to give credit to the UFC. They want to pay homage to the roots of MMA and the UFC, which was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Royce Gracie winning UFC 1. And I feel like that was a big reason why they decided to rebrand to UFC BJJ, to kind of show their respects to the Gracies and what they did for jiu-jitsu. I saw on Ninja Andy Varela's recent thing, they said, like, I can't believe they're calling it BJJ when they're, you know, in Nogi, in an octobowl, and like it's just everything away from Brazilian jiu-jitsu. But
Wait,
I
who
actually
said
like
that?
the UFC BJJ name. Ninja Andy Varela on their little guys talk, they were responding to my coverage of it, and they were just like, yeah, I can't believe they're calling it UFC BJJ when like it's no-gi grappling. Like UFC grappling would have been better. So what's your
No,
thoughts on that?
I like the name. I think the name's cool. I'll be
I like
honest with
UFC
you, man.
BJJ.
Look, I have zero issue with what the UFC is doing. I think the show's been good. You know, like there's drama surrounding, you know, how it was put together and is it the best that it could be or and all that. Look, did they steal the pit idea from Craig? I mean, yeah. Did they steal the 3 rounds from Craig? No, Craig stole it from them. Like the UFC had that idea. That's the whole reason Craig did it, is because he saw it working in the UFC. And so they're just like taking their own idea and use it. I don't have any beef with that. I have beef. I don't think it's the best rule set, but I don't have any problem with them doing the rule set. You know what I mean? I don't think it's the best way to show jiu-jitsu. I think we saw that in episode 2. Like there's no, maybe I'm crazy. But I don't think there's any way that Keith Krikorian lost that match to Isaac Doderline. That was a
A
blowout.
lot of people have been saying that.
Isaac was dead. He's only alive today because the round ended. He was in a dead choke. He woke up. He couldn't even walk back to the corner. And
Wow.
I think Isaac's really good. So, and I don't even know Isaac. So there's no shade. I'm not saying nothing about that. I'm just saying like that result. That's why we don't want a 10 round must system or a 10-point must system. And dude, I know everybody's like, but look what the 10-point must system produced in CJI. But I don't think everybody actually remembers what happened at CJI. What happened at CJI is we got a couple of the most exciting athletes in the world and threw them out into a pit and said, go. And I don't think it would have mattered what rule set you gave Cade and Tackett. The match was going to look like that no matter what. Like you could have gave them towels and told them to pop each other. And that's what it was going to look like that. You know what I mean? Like there was no way. You could have gave them swords. You could have gave them, like they could have had a paper football contest and they would have got crazy like that. Like it didn't matter what the rules were. It matters who the athletes are. And so, because there was plenty of matches at CJI that were like dragging on, especially in that heavier bracket. So I don't think that rule set is magical. In fact, I think that it's not the move. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think that's the right play. Like to drag it out longer, that's the move. To make 15 minutes and to break them up when they actually got to what did we want? A submission?
Position, yeah.
And so a guy gets into a submission and then we stop him so that we can start. Dude, come on. This is not the way. So now, having said that, I am super down with the UFC getting into jiu-jitsu. I think that it's good, man. Do I agree with everything about the way they're doing it? No, I don't, but I don't have to. What I do know is that them being involved puts more eyeballs on my sport. And if the UFC grows, the sport grows. And look, as the sport grows and we get a little further down the professional pipeline, it'll be time for war. I don't think it's time for war right now. I don't think it's time for war. I think it's time to come together and dominate this thing. And I think we could all go, all of us could go a lot farther if we went together than if we were just fighting each other. And now look, there's a case for having an enemy and having that's good for storyline. It's good for narrative. It's good for bringing eyeballs on. But I also think that there could be a lot of value in us all banding together and doing the biggest, baddest thing possible, using all of our resources. I think that's the move. But who am I? I'm just a little redneck, Alex. What do I know? What do I know? I'm just literally behind the scenes at every show that matters in the sport. But I mean, what do I know? I'm just a little redneck,
I definitely like your opinion when it comes to the rounds. When I talk to athletes within the jiu-jitsu world, they kind of mention like that they don't really like it. And then I've seen some other athletes that say they really, really like it online. But then when I talk to people behind the scenes, they're like, yeah, I don't really like that because then, they have to reset and stand up every single time. And then, I guess the argument is I've seen Craig on 2 episodes now on Borrowed Time saying the most exciting thing about jiu-jitsu is the scrambles. Like the reason why everyone thought that Cade Bertolo and Andrew Tackett was so exciting was because there was crazy scrambles and there wasn't a submission. And then you have other people and promotions that are saying if you get the submission, that's a bonus. So they're putting that at their top of their list. So I think it just is kind of like a taste. Like, do you want to see that submission? Or do you want to see some crazy scrambles and more stand up and that? Like I like a little bit of both, but I think the opinions can go between the two on what people think is most entertaining in jiu-jitsu.
Well, I tell you what's the most entertaining is fun. And that can happen with scrambles, and that can happen with submission highlights, and that can happen with just a guy drinking a coconut water and spitting it up in the air. That's fun. Dude, that can happen with Craig standing up on the edge of the pit and ripping his britches off. Fun is what we're after. Good TV is what we're after. If we want people to watch this, we got to give them something to watch. And so the rule set in the PGF, the design of the PGF, it's all built around how can we take these guys, allow them to use their jiu-jitsu to win this game, and let's set the game up in a way that it's sticky and fun for people to watch and be engaged with. So
it's so funny that you bring up fun and entertainment, and not to completely go back to PGF stuff, but when I was doing some research on on Robert Drysdale, he was saying that he views jiu-jitsu as an art. So when it comes to bringing all this entertainment in, where do we draw the line? Like he's not interested in seeing a Gabby Garcia, Craig Jones match. At what point do we say enough is enough? Because when are we just going to send some girls in bikinis with mud to start doing grappling? So I do understand from the purist jiu-jitsu lens why that entertainment only aspect is like maybe rubs jiu-jitsu purists the wrong way.
Well, I think that if I could say this to Robert or to anybody else who feels that way, I hear you, but we're not doing jiu-jitsu. Here's what the PGF is. The PGF is a game that we set up, and your objective as the athlete is to win the game. And you're going to use what you know about jiu-jitsu. You're going to use your skill set to win the game. But I'm not asking you to do jiu-jitsu. I'm asking you to use your jiu-jitsu. Do you get what I'm saying? There's a big difference. If, like me, for example, I'm an old man, Alex. I'm 45 years old. I've been training a long time. And all these young kids try to kill me every day when I go out there on the mat. 22-year-olds try to strangle me. They're trying to break my legs. And the best way for me to display my jiu-jitsu sometimes, the best jiu-jitsu that I can do, is be patient. Don't make a move. Slow down. Observe. Wait on his mistake, and then inch forward until he dies. That's good jiu-jitsu. That's good jiu-jitsu. That's terrible TV, though. Terrible TV. We're not doing jiu-jitsu. The thing that would make the jiu-jitsu beautiful is the thing that'll get you in trouble in the PGF. You got 6 minutes, dog. And during the 6 minutes, you got 20 seconds. There's a 20-second shot clock on. You better get busy. And if you don't want to use if you can't use your jiu-jitsu, then you better start using your wrestling or your kickbox. I don't know what. Use something. You better turn into an athlete real quick or you're about to get in trouble and you're not going to be very successful in the PGF. The PGF, the only way to get into the playoffs, the only way to win the money is to get submissions repeatedly over and over. So, and you only got 6 minutes to do it. There's no time for patience. We're not playing jiu-jitsu. We're not doing jiu-jitsu. We're playing a game. Use what you know about jiu-jitsu to win the game.
And JSM Instant Coaching in the chat saying the bowl is amazing. Lazy Bed saying hate to compliment anything UFC, but that bowl is dope. I love how it has no corners, unlike the pit. Yeah, you gotta give compliments when they're due. The bowl is definitely cool, and in my opinion, all of the arguments about the rounds and then the pit, and all of this banter, that is, in my opinion, just like fun opportunity to make funny memes, argue a little bit, talk about this stuff. But do I think any of it should be taken that seriously? No, not really. Because at the end of the day, we're just trying to figure out how we can make this whole jiu-jitsu thing work to the rest of the world. So when people start arguing about who copied who what, I just like laugh at everything because I'm like, it's really not that serious. I'm just happy that now we're now going to have to reset every 2 seconds.
They're all copying me anyways. So I don't.
Everyone's copying your swag. And because at Fight Pass Invitational, it was a constant problem. They were even on the stage at one point. We have to talk about the recent Fight Pass Invitational 11. They're not going to be doing Fight Pass Invitationals anymore. It is completely rebranded to UFC BJJ. But let's look at a post-match interview.
So I'm pound for pound. I'm not going to self-appoint a nickname.
Of Fiona Davis.
Claim to be the very best. I think there are so many girls who are in contention to be the very best. I think someone who's really heavily overlooked is Anna Vieira, actually. I would love to fight her because I think she's one of the goats of our sport, like one of the greatest athletes, regardless of male or female. And as is Adele, like they're both phenomenal athletes. So I would love to fight Adele again because obviously it was such a tight match. Do I think much would be different? I'm not sure because I can work on myself. Outside passing is something I clearly need to work on from that match. But I can't control what the other person does if they want to engage or not. But yeah, I also don't want to do 125. I'd love to do 135 because that's my natural weight. And I don't want to weight cut anymore. I want to love doing, and when I'm focused on cutting, it really pulls the love out of the sport for me. So I think that's important for me, as much as it's frustrating because I feel like a rematch would be amazing, but I also want to first, and that I did get the win, and I don't know if I want to put my body through another difficult weight cut.
Right.
And I love this sport and I want to keep loving it.
Right.
And yeah, I don't think it's necessary for me to cut weight. I think I'm strong enough that it's not something, all it does is make me suffer for a few.
Yeah, so I just love Fiona, period. And I did interview Adele, and she did mention that, she feels like she was robbed. She wants that rematch, and she thinks that if we're all being professionals here, that Fiona should cut the weight to the 125. That was where the original match happened. That's where it should take place again. And, I love Adele as well, but I gotta agree with Fiona on this one. Like, she's the one who actually went away with the win. And so if she wants to compete at 135, I really don't think that these, weights make so much of a difference. But I mean, when so little happened in that match, I think Fiona is onto something. What could be different in the next? And I think maybe that's why Adele is holding on to, we went on at 125 because maybe there could be an advantage there. But what was your perspective? You were the one calling the fights. You were the one that could hear the pop in person. So what was your perception of all of that when it happened in real time?
I thought Adele won, and I thought it was pretty clear. I thought she won all 3 rounds. I'm a huge fan of Fiona, so no shade coming to her. I think she's one of the better I mean, you've heard me say it before. I think she's the best female we've ever had in the sport. So absolutely zero shade to her. But I do think Adele won that match. But I do agree with what Fiona's saying about the weight cut. I wouldn't want to cut weight either. I think she should stick with that. There's no reason for her to cut the weight. Having said that, though, she's quite a bit bigger than Adele. 10 pounds is, you're right, 10 pounds is not that much unless you're 125 pounds. That's a much larger percentage of your body weight than if you were 220. 220 guy, like cut 10 pounds. Okay, no problem. 125 pound woman cutting 10 pounds, 135 pound woman cutting 10 pounds, a whole different situation. Mm-hmm. I live with a couple of female BJJ athletes. You know what I mean? My wife's been training just as long as I have, literally. We started on the same day. So, and my daughter trains. She's been training for 14 years now. So, yeah, I understand females also have a lot other things to consider biologically when they're doing weight cuts. And if the time comes for the weight cut and it's the wrong time, like you're going to be retaining water, you know what I mean? And so those weight cuts can be a lot harder for the ladies. So I understand, I understand what Fiona's saying.
We do know that Adele won't really have to be worrying about any weight cuts when it comes to CJI 2. It was recently announced by Craig that she is the second locked-in spot for that $100,000 four-woman tournament. I am hoping that maybe there becomes more broadcast time and we can make the tournament an 8-woman tournament, because I feel like there is the depth in women's jiu-jitsu to fill out an 8-woman bracket. I think 4-woman is going to be an awesome co-main event. But I think it could make things even more exciting, because now we have Fiona, who just called out Ana Vieira, Sarah Galvao, who has a recent win over Helena Cravar. So now there's just like only so many spots that the two could go to. It's going to like cancel out a lot of other potential women who have been working really hard for a little bit of shine. But what is your thought? Who could be filling out those last 2 spots for CJI 2?
Oh, I would love to see Brianna St. Marie as one of those spots. I think that she's one of the best in the world. For the 4th spot, I would probably try to grab another international athlete. Like we got Helena representing the US, we got Adele representing Australia. If we could get Brianna representing Europe or representing Canada, so then we need a European representative. You know what I mean? Fiona would be the perfect choice.
Yeah. Do we know how long it is going to take for her foot to heal?
Oh yeah, I saw she was posting about how jacked up it was. I mean, that's more proof to me that Adele won the fight.
Yeah. I mean, it was a loud pop, because I know that
it was very loud.
on TV they don't have.
I have my headset on and Carrie's yelling in my ear and TJ's talking and Michael Chiesa's talking on the other side. And the crowd is there, and I still heard it snap so loud through the headphones. I was like, I remember on the broadcast, like, was that her foot? And indeed, it was her. It was gnarly. It was really loud. It was a bad one.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like she was about to tap, and then once you like let things pop already, it's like, oh well. At this point, I think Nicky Ryan was the one who said this on a podcast. He's like, I don't understand why people like let it pop and then tap. Like, if you're going to let it pop, then you may as well keep going. And I think that's kind of what happened with Fiona. Like, she was close to tapping and then it already happened. So she just continued on with it. So now she's dealing with that injury. We had a recent jiu-jitsu drama, if you will. Gordon, other than posting about politics and different things that he posts about, he took the time out of his day to respond to some of Fiona Davis's what would you say, like sharing of her current situation and not being able to train, and kind of the mental heaviness that she feels when people are kind of trying to create a narrative that because she signed with the UFC, that is her not standing up for women's jiu-jitsu. And I don't think that's an argument that anyone could make. She literally left ADCC to join CJI to take a stand for women's pay. The women ended up all getting show money for the first time. Women's pay was matched. And, she was a really big figure to get all this to happen. So the fact that now it's so crazy that sometimes the community in general can flip and flop But what was your general consensus on originally seeing that Fiona was in a mental state when you saw that post, and then after seeing that Gordon took the time out of his day to make it about him?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I didn't see those things. I don't use social media, Alex. I know that might sound surprising because I'm posting all the time, but I'm not posting. And if I am posting, I post and I'm out. I'm not in there.
Post and
I
ghost.
I don't use the feed at all. I look at the comments on my stuff. I interact with the Brandon page and the PGF page. And if somebody sends me something and I have a little time, maybe I'll look at it, but I don't use the feed. So I actually didn't even see that. So you're going to have to kind of like scoop me in on what's going on a little bit.
I'll definitely get you the scoop. I have Harps in the building saying that I don't think Adele would compete against Brianna, would she? I definitely think if it like was in a bracket like that, she would. She did say that she wasn't going to do Purist because Brianna is on the North American squad, and I think they were going to try to get Adele to be the European squad, but that just wouldn't have made sense. So now they have that Polaris 32 squad completely filled out. Things really shifted after that injury with Fion. A lot of people were excited for Helena versus Fion. We're not going to get that right away, but a lazy bed calling out for smashing that like button. Appreciate you guys. But did you mention your picks on Brianna St. Marie and then your second pick, or?
No, I don't know who the other one should be. I really don't. I don't know who I would put in that spot.
I think it would be cool to do it at an absolute. I think it should be an 8-woman absolute. I think that would.
Well, now if you're talking about an absolute, now I got some ideas. But if you're talking about like
because Helena's so
tough.
Helena is so technically sound that if you put Adele, and let's just say they're the same technique wise, Helena is so much bigger than her. So I feel like if we want to kind of make things somewhat fair, we could just do absolute, and ADCC absolute champion getting in there, Helena Cravar, and now Helena has to go up against some bigger girls. Like, I think that makes it more interesting versus making it 145 pounds for Helena's division. You know who
would be cool if we did an absolute that I think people don't realize how good she is Paige Yvette.
Yes, I was going to bring her name up after a great win at WNO. She even mentioned CJI and said like, hey, put us bigger ladies in there. I don't know if that's exactly what she said, but like the heavier girls like deserve some shine.
Paige is a beast, dude. Have you ever trained with her?
I've never trained with her, but the next time I'm in San Diego, I'm going to go. I want to take her classes. I want to take a J-Flow judo class. Like, that would be amazing.
Dude, she's 36 times stronger than I am. She's a beast, bro. She's a beast.
Yeah, she must just be like extremely muscular, because when they put like the weights up, I was like, oh, she doesn't look like she'd be that heavy, but she's just like dense and like, I don't know, very, very powerful, because she was putting it on the whole time and then got the submission at the end. Since you didn't see a lot of the drama, BMAC, I'll share with you some of the stuff.
Why are you dragging me into this drama, Alex? People don't care what I think about drama.
Okay. I'll save this for the very end then. What else do you want to talk about when it comes to everything that we've seen in the jiu-jitsu world?
I mean, I guess.
Oh, okay. I'll play you a clip. I'll play a clip that's less petty, because I don't really like talking about the petty drama, but I was directly involved with it because I commented something on Gordon's post, and I think this is like the beginning manifestations of a interview with Gordon Ryan. Like, I hope that he can see me as someone that isn't like a complete enemy to him, but maybe because I'm so in the works with Craig, he automatically thinks that. But I think that would create a good dynamic for an interview. Don't you think? Like, it's kind of better when you don't have someone like is always like kissing your ass. Like, I think it's sometimes good when like he can roast me a little bit. We can be a little bit of enemies. Like, the Ariel Helwani kind of jam.
I agree with that. I'll answer this question that I saw pop up in the chat while you're looking for your thing. DC Woodworking said, is Elijah going to be in PGF this season? No, this is 155 this season. He can't make 155. Not he can't make it and then fight. He can make it, I'm sure, and then go to the hospital.
Elijah Carlton making his UFC Fight Pass UFC BJJ debut. So if you guys want to see him in action, I hear that he hasn't been. I'm only halfway through the second episode, so I haven't been able to watch everything. But I heard he's like toned it down a little bit.
Well, they just haven't really featured him at all yet.
Oh, interesting. Hopefully he'll get a little bit more camera time then.
He will.
Oh, Ron is definitely a good one. See, okay, so if we're doing the absolute,
Reina, I saw Reina weighed in at 157 for who's number one the other night. I don't know. That may be too big to put her in a division with Adele. Unless you're really doing an absolute. But Paige too. Paige is even bigger than that, I think. Paige is probably like in the 160.
Paige was like 180.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Unless they got her weight wrong, but I was like 180, like that's strong.
That's what I'm saying. She outweighs me by 15 pounds, dude. She's crazy strong. And she's all
Oh my gosh.
athlete too, bro. It's not playing around.
Yeah, she is built like an athlete for sure. Okay, so Reina Willink just got a great win at WNO 28. Paige Yvette. We have Helena and Adele already locked in. Sarah Galbao, I think, definitely has to be there. We know that Andre Galbao supported CJI 1. He's going to potentially be a coach. Okay, so that's 5. Brianna St. Marie, you already answered. And then Anna Vieira and Liz Mitrovic. That's my absolute.
Oh, yeah, that's who I want. I want Liz. I like Liz.
Make it happen. Let's get an 8-woman absolute. I think 4 women's cool. I know there's only so much time I know we're trying to avoid that 10-hour broadcast day, but this is only an event only once a year. So, why not have 8 women involved in it?
I like it.
All right.
The plan.
I'm going to play this little clip for you.
Contracts in.
I know Craig is kind of going a little head to head with the UFC.
Yeah, I've definitely been way more involved in the drama stuff this year. The reality show, I was going to be on it, but then when they threw out the exclusive contract, it was like just didn't make sense anymore. And I think that they lost a lot of people by throwing exclusive contracts. CJI is offering the most money and the biggest stage and like such a unique experience. There was a video I saw where Craig called like CJI like a Super Bowl type event, and I think that's kind of exactly what it is. It's a Super Bowl. It's like you don't want to miss the Super Bowl because you're not allowed to compete in it. For me, it was like I focus on training mostly, but I'm always thinking about like what is the best opportunity that I can get for myself.
Is because of those exclusive contracts that they were just offering to everyone. That kind of surprises me that they would offer exclusive contracts to everyone, because I feel like that would be really expensive.
Yeah, so from my understanding, it's an exclusive contract if you win the show. So like I could have gone to the show and like purposely lost and I would have been okay, but that just felt like weird signing up to do a competition that my objective was to like not win,
Yeah, so we got some interesting information from Chris Wojcik. He also went on the Simple Man podcast, discussed this, but that's also why we didn't see Ethan Krellinston in that UFC BJJ page. So what is your opinion about everything? Like, do you think jiu-jitsu is in a place that exclusive contracts should be a regular thing?
No, just a good hard no.
Yeah.
I don't think that's really. I don't see the benefit of that, to be honest with you. Like if the whole thing, like for MMA, it makes sense, right? You can only fight MMA a couple of times a year. So I can't be signed to promotion A, have a fight, and then 4 months down the road, do a fight for somebody else, and then be able to still get back to the other promotion and fulfill my contract. You know what I'm saying? Like there's not enough matches to be had in MMA. So exclusives make sense. In jiu-jitsu, you can fight every day. So it's crazy. Like if these guys, like let's say the UFC is going to do 6 fights a year, 6 events a year. Okay, dude, sick. If you were on every show, you could only go 6 times a year. These guys are trying to compete like once a month or more, a lot of them. So I don't really understand.
Mike out here calling you out, saying you should have said, "Oh, hell no." Let's talk about some different opinions online. I actually have not been able to keep up with all of them. Do you see my screen right now, B-Mac?
Yep.
I love how you basically.
Read it though. It's so far away. I'm getting old.
Okay, I'll zoom
I need
in.
to get some prescription sunglasses. You know what I'm saying?
So you know me, I'm a little bit of a drama starter. So I just like to pick the extreme opinions that you could have. Two POVs. A, win UFC BJJ and lose your freedom to options in the sport right as jiu-jitsu enters its most transformative area. I said option B, win UFC BJJ and earn exclusivity with the pinnacle of the sport known for treating their fighters fairly. I'm not being sarcastic. It's ambiguous. You know, you can take what you want. You decide what is fitting for your journey. I think all these athletes are at a different point in their career. I think there's so many different things that could impact your decision if you want to go fully committed with the UFC. Like Raquel Canuto, Hinato Canuto, they're based out of Vegas. They have hybrid jiu-jitsu. They literally train with Techi and Claudia every day. 100% makes sense to go the UFC route. If you're a guy like Chris Wojcik who trains every day with B Team and you're really close with so there's so many different options on why maybe B Team guys aren't being seen on these UFC cards. So I said how many fighters were offered this contract and turned down, and then we had immediately after posted some feedback from none other than Mikey Musumeci. I'm not sure if it's going to let me scroll down.
Interesting.
I love Mikey. Oh, okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about with Mikey is I think there was like a screenshot of the Casuals MMA podcast. And I think the hook is like, what did you think about the coaching? And then one guy says, oh, I was kind of disappointed. And then it interjects me and it's like, you could say that you're very disappointed. But when I said that, I was never talking about Mikey. I was just saying that Harrison isn't very known and that there were other options like Gordon Ryan, Craig Jones, and then a bunch of different other people that he actually has bad blood with, like Owen Jones, Gio Martinez, that I thought were a better option. But never, ever, ever did I say anything along the lines of like, oh, Mikey shouldn't be coach. So I just wanted to clear that up because I really like Mikey. I just think sometimes he can maybe perhaps be not easily manipulated, but maybe think good of a situation that might potentially not be the best. So he comments, it's just so go B-Mag.
Well, Mikey's a sweet summer child. You know, he's
amazing.
He's a beautiful little fella and he's sweet in his heart. And
yes.
I think he automatically he jumps to conclusions. But the conclusions that he jumps to are everything's cool. Like he jumps to that conclusion. Most people jump to the conclusion, yo, everything's not cool. What is that? Does that guy hate me? Why'd he say that? You know, Mikey goes, I don't know. I thought we were best friends. So yeah, let's see what he said though.
So Mikey Musumeci commented, it's just so confusing to me. Why would a big company like UFC invest so much money into athletes and events, market, and build up their characters to a different audience outside of a smaller segment to just let them compete in events out of UFC with competitor organizations and let them compete in events to help those other athletes build their names? Does that logically make sense for the UFC to do? And I basically responded with your response, BMAC. I said, I understand your POV. If BJJ was to the point of MMA, exclusivity makes sense. They have fight night events every weekend and plenty of opportunity, even though MMA fighters only want to fight 4 times a year max. Jiu-Jitsu grapplers are different. They could compete every weekend if they want to, and I believe are more entertaining and sharp when they get to do so. Will the UFC be able to provide the matches that, you know, other people in the community will be able to do? And I say, like, I hope so. Like, I have such high hopes for what UFC BJJ is going to be able to do. I'm just asking the questions that need to be asked. Then we got PJ Barch. He's participating. PJ Barch is not a trauma king, so I'm surprised to see him in here. Yeah, he says, real. Mikey, I get what you're saying, but can't you reframe this that the athletes are building UFC BJJ and not UFC BJJ is building the athletes? And then maybe there might be a bit of a paradigm shift. I love to have the UFC so involved, and their show so far is great. But at the end of the day, I also think it's important to keep power in the hands of athletes, and that only happens where there is competition and choice. Boom.
I totally agree with that. And roll back to Mikey's comment. I have something to say about that as well. Where was he? Zoom in on it. Let my old eyes Let me look up on you with my old
It don't
eyes.
zoom anymore, B-Mac. That's as far as it goes.
Well, I could lean in, but I'm so comfortable, you know. Okay, so he says, just so confusing me. Why would they invest so much money in their athletes and events and then build up characters just to let them compete? So let me ask this question: why would I do that? Why would I build up all those characters and invest so much into them just for the UFC to walk in and take them? Because that's exactly what we did. The 170 roster is UFC is PGF athletes. Elijah Carlton doesn't compete in anything except the PGF. Nathan Haddad, none of you guys had ever heard of Nathan until I put him on the show. None of y'all had ever heard of him. You agree with that, Alex?
I do.
What
But
about,
it just sounds
what
funny
about
you saying it like that.
what about Elijah? Where you heard of him besides the PGF? What about Jet Thompson? You ever heard his name before the PGF? So let me say, I completely understand what he's saying. Why would you do that? Because it's right for the sport, Mikey. Because it's the right thing to do for the sport. That's why I did it. That's why I let him compete. I could have signed him to exclusive contracts. I could have locked Elijah up years ago. And I could have paid him enough to just stay with us. But I want Elijah to have those opportunities.
Mhm.
I'm happy for Elijah. I'm happy for Nathan Haddad. It's amazing that these guys are getting to go on the show. But then for the UFC to turn around and try to lock them down after we fed them, these guys, I don't know, man. That seems counter productive in a lot of ways. Having said that, I completely agree with Mikey at the same exact time. So don't clip this out and be like, Brandon hates the UFC. That's not true. I don't hate the UFC. I have loved my time working with the UFC. They've been great to me. I think Techi's the man. Like he's been great to me. Nothing but A+ comments from me on working with them. And nothing but A+ comments on the show that they're putting together. I think they're doing a great job, and I think it's good for the sport in a lot of ways. But I don't think that we should be locking people down in exclusive contracts. Otherwise, I would have been doing it. Because, look, again, we built these athletes in the PGF. They built themselves. I shouldn't say we built them. They built themselves using the platform that we created, right? So I didn't build them. I built a platform for them to build themselves. So let me make sure I say it that way. Having said that, those guys wouldn't be on the UFC right now if they had not competed in the PGF.
We got a PGF vet. Davis Asari said, "Who told you guys I want to compete every month?" Crying face. Yeah, Davis is down.
I'm with you,
like,
Davis.
also
I'm
just
not competing every month. I'm with him.
Sorry, Davis. He was talking about the people that don't just let. Oh my gosh, PGF def put Haddad on the map. Just how exclusive is it too? Can these guys still do seminars, instructionals, or does UFC fully own their likeness and rights to any BJJ related stuff? So
I actually don't know. That's a great question. I'm sure they can. I mean, that would be crazy if they were taking a cut off of their outside, but I mean, they may be. I don't know. But these guys that are on this show, they're not signed to exclusive contracts. Like everybody's a little like bent out of shape. These guys are not on exclusive contracts. Only the guy who wins is going to be on the contract.
yeah. So if you want to be the UFC champion, then that means that you will be on an exclusive contract. Fiona Davis is signed exclusive, but she did negotiate CJI into her contract. But it was for, a tournament type of deal, not any super fights. And so that's why we have the 4-woman tournament. This has always been the plan. And it kind of actually does bring us to the Gordon Ryan conversation, because he made the post and he kind of responded to me saying that Craig only wanted to use Fiona for this event. And now that he doesn't need her, he's like putting her aside or all this stuff. And I'm like, no, like we always wanted to do the tournament. Like when Fiona called out for there needs to be a women's division in the next CJI, that was always the plan to do that. I think there was ideas before of like, oh, should we do another super fight with Fiona? And then, the advancements in her partnership with UFC came about, and it was like, okay, well, that isn't going to be possible anymore. And so, yeah, it makes me sad because I love Craig so much and I love Fiona, and I just hope that she's okay and that, I don't know, sometimes like the joking and stuff can get taken out of context or out of hand. And I'm not saying that all of Craig's jokes are always super in the right. But yeah, I think a lot of people have also been trying to twist it, like Gordon saying something along the lines of, oh, Craig only wanted to use Fiona and all this and that. I'm like, I think that is very far from the truth. I think we all were coming together to make something great happen with CJI. And, hate is going to hate.
Yeah. This won't be very popular, what I'm about to say, but Fiona's got to get some thicker skin too. Like, it's true that Gordon should behave, and it's true that that was inappropriate, but Fiona is a star in a sport. This is what that means. People are going to criticize you and call you bad names. And the more popular the sport gets, the more you're going to get that. 3% of the population is a psychopath. They just want to see you upset. And if you get 100 comments, 3 of them are going to be psychopath comments. So listen, it's part of the sport, dude. I'm not saying it should be part of the sport. It shouldn't be. But it's part of sports. It's not a jiu-jitsu problem. Like, oh, jiu-jitsu is so toxic. Bro, go follow the NBA and watch what happens. Go follow like high school basketball and watch what happens. People people just burning down high school kids because they can't dribble a ball as well as the other kid. Like, this is what sports is. And if you don't like that, hey, I get that. I don't like it either. I don't like that. I don't like toxic stuff. I don't like feeling bad. I don't like reading bad things about me. Then quit reading, dog, because they're gonna pop up. So I'm totally with Fiona. It's a bummer that she's going through things. I wish her I send her tremendous love and respect and support. And I encourage her to get a thick skin and quit reading comments.
And just in case a lot of my YouTubers come to this channel because they don't have Instagram, they live the good life. They have a career that doesn't involve having to be involved with social media. I'm going to share with them. Remember that time I posted about being a strong man individual, that no one gives a shit about your problems and to just shut the fuck up and do what you need to do? Then remember when Fiona came to attack me and told everyone it's okay to be a pussy? Okay, well, here she is telling the internet how she can't handle random losers in their mom's basement talking shit about her. The soft ass baby shit world champion telling everyone how she can't make the mean tweets that Joe from Ohio makes of her. Can't take the mean tweets. Could you imagine being this effing?
That's good. I get what he's trying to say. And look, that could be deployed with a lot more empathy and love. And it should be. It should be. It's inappropriate to talk that way to somebody.
And make a whole post of it.
The message of what he's saying is not that much different than what I just said.
And then I had to come in hot with my my therapist angle.
Love.
Did you like my therapist angle? How did you manage to turn a genuine, open-hearted moment about mental health about yourself? Haha, let me interview you. I must know what part of your inner child needs healing, Gordito. And he responded and watched my stories. So, we could be getting into a therapy sesh soon.
Yeah, y'all might be married soon. Who knows what's going to happen?
Definitely a no to that idea. But let's see what he said. It was basically just... Sorry, I should have been more like your boy CJ and hyped her up until I didn't need her anymore. Then start talking about her like I didn't use her for my own public morale, standing the last 2 years in a row. I'm sure you'd appreciate that more, right? And then I think I just, keep it cool. I don't like the idea of CJ using Fiona in any way, although I don't think that's accurate. I can appreciate you keeping it real, but I don't know. I think you have cooler enemies to attack than Fiona, like my dumbass, for instance, or maybe Toehold. Gonna message you if you're ever down to talk. Really excited you guys will be in the event.
Oh, that was
And,
that was
yeah.
very professional. That was a very professional response. Good job.
I just know
listen,
that Gordon is probably quite misunderstood in some aspects, and I'm trying to figure out like how the hell he is so different from Nikki Ryan, who stays out of all of this. And I've talked to Nikki in person, and he seems really cool. And then Gordon is like the way he is. But it's also weird because like I see Gordon on different podcasts with like Jake Shields and stuff, and he seems like really likable in all this. But I mean, I guess like you said, your message was kind of similar to Fiona needing thicker skin or anything. I personally thought I enjoy when Fiona is so honest and authentic about everything. Like when she was cutting down to 125, she posted a mirror pic of her super shredded, and then she puts a disclaimer. She says, hey, this isn't like a healthy weight for me. I'm not happy like this. Like I don't plan on competing like this, and I don't want people to see this image of me and think that being this skinny or something is normal and all that. So I just love how she's always authentic. And so when she shares with the public that she's struggling mentally, just reading comments about people saying she, didn't shoot, I like that as a woman in the industry. So and then Gordon attacks it. But, there's going to be different opinions on everything. So,
well, I would like to share the underlying message that Gordon has, but deploy it with love. Like, I do think she needs to not worry about what those people have to say. And if she can't not worry about it, I do think she needs to get offline. However, it needs to be sandwiched in between these words. Fiona, I love you. I respect you. I honor so much what you have made yourself into and the champion that you are and the human that you are. But get off the internet. Because if you can't handle that, it's only going to get worse as the sport gets bigger. So maybe the right thing to do is just delete your social media, dude. It's not that crazy of a move. It's not that crazy to just delete your social media, or just don't look at it and have somebody else post to it. Pay somebody $100 a month to make a post once a week.
Yeah, because Gordon wouldn't have made that post if she didn't originally make the post. So anyway, let's hop off of the high school drama that we just were dealing with.
Dragging me into reading comments on Instagram on the desktop computer.
This is what us Gen Z do. We like to stay involved on the pulse. It's not my exact preference to be the TMZ reporter, but
you're a liar.
Relevant.
You love it. It's your favorite thing.
It is relevant. It is relevant.
Your favorite thing. Look at that smile.
I want to know the inner child work, like even with everyone in the jiu-jitsu community, because there's a lot of narcissists in the jiu-jitsu community, and it's all rooted in something different. And I think it's very interesting to kind of psychologically analyze them. But there is other things to worry about, like PGF Draft Day, noon Pacific time, going down. Keelan just got that link up so you guys can find it. You can put a little reminder so that you guys don't miss it. BMAC, I know I took enough of your time out of your day. So is there anything you have coming up that you want people to know about? Obviously, we talked about PGF, but you can, re-talk about that.
I got a couple of projects that I've been secretly working on that I think people are going to freak out over, one of them especially. I will tell you guys that if you'll go to www.bjj365.club, myself and Carlos Machado, we have a website together where we collect our classes, our seminars, our instructional material, and it's all there available for you. And if you'll use the code CMJJ, you can have the first month for $1. Go to bjj365.club. We also jump in and we do office hours every week where we just help you review your footage from training or from your matches, or we just sit there and talk trash with you, whatever it works. But there's not a lot of opportunities to get to do that with a 3rd degree black belt and a coral belt at the same time, but we do that every week. And so for $1, you'd be kind of like an idiot not to at least go check it out. bjj365.club. $1 code is CMJJ.
there you have it. Brandon McCatherine joining us for an hour and 20 minutes of Jiu-Jitsu nerdery. I'm Alex Wendling, your host. I'm going to be over there in Kazakhstan as long as things are safe. And we're going to be covering AIGA with a big payout. And I'm going to go directly from that PGF draft to Kazakhstan. And also that weekend, it was a bit of a conflict. June 28th is going to be Polaris 32, the women's squads. You guys can watch that on UFC Fight Pass. It is going to be a banger. I love that format. And then we can just strap in for everything that July is going to bring, and also August, of course. There's going to be a special occurrence happening for CJI. So keep an eye out when I drop this piece of news. But basically, if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, after I make this announcement, there's going to be a certain time window where things are going to be extra valuable. So I can't give anything specific away, but this is your first hint to be very aware of what could go on within the next 48 hours in terms of getting your tickets and a certain prize that could come with that. So without further ado, have a rest of your night. It is Wednesday, June 18th, and we will see you on the next live chat. I appreciate you guys, and please hit that like button and comment if you disagree, agree with anything we said, any topics that we missed and need to talk about. Until then, I'll see you guys on the next live chat.